At least 3,000 Palestinian children and 200 Israeli children have been killed since the beginning of the 2000s. The 54 articles on the Convention on the Right of the Child consider that Article 2, children must be protected from discrimination. Article 5, children must have the right of parents. Article 6, the right to life. And I could go on. All these articles are completely violated for children victims of war. They lose all their rights, even the most basic ones most European children get, like the right to play, the right to have a say, the right to education, and the right to healthcare. In 2013, the Committee on the Right of the Child spoke about the Israeli and Palestinian conflict and considered itself highly concerned by the fact that the children of both camps are involved in the conflict and continue to be killed or wounded. When talking about children's rights, we also need to think about children victims of war in countries like Yemen, Syria, and more. Today, I will be talking about children's rights in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In the armed conflict between Israel and Palestine, many murders have been reported among Palestinian children. Innocent victims that are often killed by mistake or sometimes shot by Israeli soldiers. In the Gaza Strip, where Israel declared war against the Hamas, various Israeli confrontation and raids have resulted in the death of numerous amount of children. The attack often target public places like schools, hospitals, places that have been turned into refuges for civilians. In addition to the lost lives, tens of thousands of children are being injured and some are left disabled for life. The right of education is therefore withdrawn from the children. In 2013, more than 123,000 children had to stop the schooling according to UNICEF. The right to healthcare is also taken away from them. 22% of Palestinian children died before the age of 5. Access to healthcare services can be extremely problematic in Palestine due to the presence of the walls and the checkpoints. During the conflict, many hospitals and clinics were destroyed, depriving the children from their right to health. We also need to concentrate on the children's mental health. Many children are left traumatized from seeing such horror at such a young age. UNICEF expressed the horror after the story about children living in the Gaza Stripes. Flashbacks, nightmare, even children are not spared from the repercussions of the war. They are traumatized, with 88% afflicted by fear. During the last 10 years, around 10 million children have been estimated to have been killed as a result of war in the world. The situation resulting from armed conflict affects children primarily because of their vulnerability and due in so many ways. Often left alone and helpless because of the chaos, some become child soldiers and others are forced into exploitation. The fundamental rights of these children are shamelessly taken away just for the benefit of the cruel acts that are the war. Many of them remain deeply traumatized, wounded, or disabled. Children are affected in all kinds of ways. Child soldiers, displaced children, wounded or handicapped. In Europe, children are kept safe away from any harm or violence. It is urgent that the children affected by war get this right too. Most European countries agree that Palestinian children must get the help they need and be protected. Spanish government agree that los niños son niños y deben estar protegidos en todos momentos y no son objetivo militar. Este es otro recordatorio de la violencia significativa que los niños continúan soportando en Palestina. France also supports the help for the Palestinian children, but like most countries are too scared to negotiate with Islamist countries due to terrorism. It was said by journalist Dominique Derda, le président égyptien est l'un des rares qui peut se faire entendre à la fois d'Israël et du Hamas, alors que la France, comme les autres pays occidentaux, s'interdit de négocier directement avec le mouvement islamiste qu'elle considère comme une organisation terroriste. Just like the Italian politician Di Maio said, Israeli settlements on Palestinian territory are an obstacle to peace. Come già ricordato tante volte, le colonie israeliane in territorio palestinese sono illegali, secondo tutta la comunità internazionale e dunque ostacolo alla pace. Ce lo ha ricordato l'ONU con numerose risoluzioni, questo è un elemento fondamentale se si vuole la pace in questa terra martoriata. Confronted with the chaos caused by armed conflicts, children are the most wronged. They are, therefore, vulnerable and become easy targets that armed forces have no problem exploiting. Additionally, because of armed conflict, children are separated from the families and find themselves alone, panicked, lost, and in need, and in order to survive, most of the time they are forced to flee their own country. The prevention of armed conflicts is the only way to manage and to improve the lives of the child victims of war. Politics shouldn't matter when it comes to children, and all children must be protected from torture. We must do all we can now to end human suffering and avoid this humanitarian crisis from getting worse. Thank you.